Mm.
This is something that gets to me though, and again, all our realities are constructed around our experiences. So I'm coming from my experience, and that is what I equate this to is the threat that Black Americans have always posed in the States from a conservative white perspective when they're 13% of the population. It's impossible for Black Americans to be an actual threat to white America. And I'm looking at the trans community, and there's no way you even come close to 13%. What's the, like, it's insane. It's almost at a level of cowardice to define trans people as a threat, knowing that you could crush that community in a second. Right, and I'm coming from a Black perspective where they've done that, where that's happened to the Black community, and I can see it happening to the trans community. So
this is what I mean by endgame. Like the problem I don't think JK realizes is that what happens if you continue this speech is that you embolden people who eventually their endgame is creating a ghetto. Their endgame is putting a tattoo on you. Their endgame is like what has happened to Black Americans, hanging you from a tree. There are people out there whose end game is to annihilate you. And so you have to not, what I want JK Rowling to do is to stop talking, to talk to a trans person within the trans community. And gain
it won't help. It won't help her. So here's what, the perpetuation for what she does is because in our society, so, you know, I get a lot of privilege because I pass every day as a male in our society because I meet societal standards. When trans women, you know, sometimes decide to medically transition and later after puberty, that testosterone that ran through their body earlier sets a stage for some things that cannot change very often unless they're very rich and they can get lots of surgery. So the world still sees them, and we have perpetuated sex worker, male in a dress, cross-dressing. And so what happens is what it does is when she puts that stuff in a book like that, it perpetuates the fear of the trans women, really, right? It's really never about the trans men. The trans women, it fear and perpetuates our disgust around sex work, which is like a whole nother topic. So what it does is that she just perpetuates stuff and she has a huge voice. So now she has this following that reads that, and now people think, oh yeah, so trans people are the people that are going to dress up and they're going to kill people, like in this book. That's the danger in her voice, right? She's not going to change. She is not going to change. I don't care about her.
Can I say though,
what's crazy about that is that she had so many supporters, trans supporters in her community following Harry Potter. Yeah. I don't know why I don't know why.
Can I say though that what it shows for me is that almost on a species level, we are traumatized as a species, that trauma is almost universal when you look at trauma, and I have enough in my own life to know that when you're traumatized, if something, you see a threat, you strike at it. And I think that we are so, I'll speak to our culture. I see trauma all around me on all sides, and I see people striking out all over the place. And man, we have got to do something about our cultural trauma.
That's why I wanted to do the show. That's exactly why I wanted to invite Jake on. And Jake, thank you so much for coming on. I think it's really important. Your voice has been so great and it's been so valued. And you know, hey, let's have you on just to talk about like nothing having to do with trans people. How about that? Would that be okay?
Wow. Okay.
I got lots of things to talk about.
Before we wrap, I do have a couple of things. First of all, we do need to promote the voices that are helpful and not the ones that are hurtful. This is why I'm going to go back to Ben Shapiro, the brilliant mind that said, hey, if the coasts flood because of global warming, why don't the people in New York just sell their houses? To whom, motherfucker?
And you go to Harvard Law School. I mean,
well, he's stupid. Jake, a lot of the talking points that you made today, I because of work, I took a trans and LGBTQ course and recognition, and that helped me a lot understand a lot about the communities, and it was happy for me to hear those being validated by you. So thank you so much for coming on and doing that. I do have one question about the mirror analogy. I love that idea. I'm going, Ben. I didn't say anything for 5 fucking minutes. Okay.
I know.
There you go.
Make it fast.
So now I gotta go wrap them in. Jake, so the mirror, the looking in the mirror thing, I love that analogy. I have one question, just from a personal standpoint. When you look in the mirror and you first say, "Oh, this fucking guy again," what is that? Is that anything? Is that, because that's my morning? Yeah.
That's just you being you, and just
Okay.
that's it, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say it feels like Bobby's been silenced.
No, I'm not. I mean, I'm just taking a lot in, right? I just think that.
Oh yeah.
But
Look, I also think that JK Rowling is being given too much credit, because I personally think her main motivation is to capitalize on the trend of trans people getting headlines, eviscerating them because they're such a tiny percentage of the population. You're never going to touch her. And then she's just leveraging that to sell all of her fucking books. Like, to me, that's all she's doing.
I agree. And you know what? We are not going to help her anymore. So that's it. We're done with JK Rowling, as we're done with this show. So thank you very much for watching. Jake, thank you very much for being on here. And yeah, we'd love to see you again, where we will never talk about JK Rowling again. Okay?
Yep. We can talk about
Mars, baby.
Exactly.
We're on Mars.
Thanks a lot, guys. Take care, and we'll see
Thank you.
next week.